Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV and welcome to episode 5 of Didn't Make the Cut. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 3 products that really weren't worth my time or yours to do a full review on. And I'll tell you some of the reasons why these things didn't rise to that occasion. Now, I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, that some of these items came in free of charge. Some I paid for. I'll let you know which one is which as we're working our way through. Nobody is paying for this review and no one has reviewed this content before it is posted. So let's take a look now at item number 1. So item number 1 here is the Hogs FPV remote control car set. I got this in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. And what you got here is a remote control car, and there's a camera on the top of it that can send stuff back to your phone. And one of the things that you can do with this is use the included headset here to get an FPV view of the car as it's driving around. Now you'll see here there's no stereo separation in here, so basically what it's doing is acting as a big magnifying glass for your phone. And the headset itself, we found, was very uncomfortable. There's not a lot of padding on here, and it's kind of blurry, actually, to me at least. I don't wear glasses. I think I have 20/20 vision, and everything looked blurry. There's no way to adjust anything, so maybe those with glasses might do better with this thing than not. I did find that the image looked pretty cool, though, because it does a good amount of magnification here, so you get a big, huge image right in front of you. It does mask the sun quite a bit if you've got a larger phone, so I found that experience to be okay. But the car itself is really difficult to control, and as you'll see here on the remote, first of all, the remote is like really lousy here. It's something that you might see in one of those $10 remote control toys. And the other problem is there's no variation to the steering here. It's either all in or not. There's no way to slightly steer to the left or right like you might see on other remote control cars. This one is a binary turn or not turn, and that was an issue when we were driving it around. The other issue we ran into with it is that the video quality out of here isn't so great either. It's a 480p image, and what happens is your phone pairs up via Wi-Fi to the remote control here, and the phone is recording what it gets back from the remote. So the car transmits to the remote, the phone connects to the remote, and that's how you're able to get the video in. As you can see, the footage isn't so great. It was very easy to run out of range of it and get a lot of pixelization and other stuff. So it's kind of fun if it was a $35 toy, but for $100, I don't think a kid is going to have that great of a time with this thing. The app does crash from time to time when I try to set recording here. You can set it from the remote, obviously, because you will be enveloped with your phone inside the headset when you're using it in FPV mode. But by and large, it just didn't justify the price to me. One cool thing, though, that it does, as you can see right now, we've got footage coming back from the car. What you can do here is hit this button on the remote, and it'll give you a view out of the back of your camera, so you can see what's going on around you if you want to walk around or pick the car up or something without having to take the headset off. So that was kind of a neat little feature there that actually worked pretty well. But that was really the only thing to me that made a lot of sense with this one. And as you all know, I do like to take some risks on Kickstarter and invest in some stuff to see if it might be a good product to review here on the channel. Every once in a while you strike gold, but most of the time you get a lot of stuff that just doesn't make the cut. This is another great example of something that didn't quite meet my expectations. This is called the Bagel tape measure. This is now available to anyone, but the price on this thing is kind of ridiculous, $89 for this. And this is a tape measure that does measurements in 3 different ways. So the first thing you do here is you turn it on, and you've got a string measurement here, so you can pull this string out and see how far it goes, and you can basically work it like a traditional tape measure might work. The problem, though, I found with the string here is that if you pull it out too quickly or push it back in too quickly, you get a little notification on there that the wheel might have slipped, and every once in a while you get something like this where even though we're completely retracted, it's off by ½ an inch. So you have to be very careful and very deliberate in using the string mode on here, which really does not make it practical for people that are trying to use this for a living, for example. This is not something I would really recommend to contractors. The build quality is just kind of a plastic thing here that I don't think will survive many falls from a ladder or something like that. And clearly you can get a tape measure that costs a heck of a lot less than this. There are some other modes that it has, though, which were kind of neat to see on here. They have a mode here where we can go into wheel mode here. And what this does is it puts a laser down on the table, and you can roll it across here, and it will measure how far it traveled. I think you have to go in reverse here. So you can see as I was moving the wheel here, it measured 6.9 inches. So that's kind of neat. But the problem is they have this little add-on that it came with for leveling. And this thing does not come off that easily. And I'm really nervous about how often this thing might be able to be taken off and put back on because it's really rubbing against the table here as I'm working it in that mode. So it just feels like a useless kind of bolt-on that I probably won't use, but if you are looking to buy this thing, and I hope you don't, you probably don't want to get that because it does interfere with the use of the wheel mode here. And it's got one of these remote laser things on it too, so you can point it at a wall, for example, and it will tell you how far away something is from you, and it seems to be relatively accurate. You can't get too close with it, as you can see here, but it looks like once you get out about 15 inches or so, it'll start doing some measurements. So not bad, it does seem to work. But the biggest problem I have with this thing is that there is no auto off on it. And more often than not, when I pick this thing up, the battery is dead on it because I forgot to turn it off the last time I used it, or the battery just died from sitting idle for too long. And that to me is its biggest fault here, because you really want your tape measure to work every time you pick it up. And every time I pick this thing up to use it, it's not working, which has been a big problem for me. They really should have built in some kind of auto off on it versus just having an actual switch that turns the device on and off here. So just not worth the price, in my opinion. It isn't very accurate, not very well built. And again, you can buy a tape measure for 10 bucks and one of those laser range things for maybe another $20 or $30, and you're ahead of the game on something that will likely always work for you more accurately than this well-intentioned Kickstarter that doesn't quite make the cut. One thing I didn't mention is it also has a voice memo function that pairs up with a phone, but I found that to be so complicated, you're better off just using a pad and paper with it. Now, this next item looks pretty cool, but in practice really doesn't make the cut. This is the InkCase, and this one is designed for the iPhone 7 Plus and 8 Plus. They have another version that's been out for a while on the iPhone 6 and 7, the smaller version. That case sells for $130. I would imagine when this one's widely available, it'll probably sell for about that price. Kind of pricey, in my opinion, for what you're about to see it do. And this is something that I got off of Indiegogo, believe it or not, and they actually delivered it, which was so unusual for an Indiegogo campaign to actually deliver. It's been a very bad experience for me lately on that platform. So what this is an e-ink display that sits on the back of your phone, essentially, and it looks nice. And one of the cool things about e-ink, of course, is that it doesn't consume a lot of power. So the only time it really consumes power is when it's changing the image here. The result, though, is you only have a black and white display. This is very similar to the display you'll see on the Kindle, for example. Right now I'm in its photo mode, so I can scroll through some of the pre-prepared images they had on here. This is a photo that I loaded in myself for my camera roll. There's an app that attaches to this via Bluetooth to send items over to it. But in functionality, though, this is kind of limited, and the picture here doesn't look so great. As you can see, it's kind of dithering around the sky area there, and not the best photo quality. But if you wanted to have a quick black and white gallery of images, I guess you could load them in there. But again, not all that useful there. Now, if I double tap on this, I can change modes, and they do have an ebook reader on here. This will not, though, work with books that you may have purchased from the iBook store or the Amazon store, and it doesn't always respond to my button pushes here either. It won't work with things that you purchase from the Amazon store or the Apple store because it doesn't support the DRM that those books have. So you have to go out and get something that you have in PDF format or as straight text, or maybe an EPUB book. This was an EPUB book that I imported through their mobile app. So if you go to Project Gutenberg and you want to read some of the classics, you can get them on here. But anything you've likely purchased is not going to be readable through the ebook reader here on the back, which kind of eliminates its usefulness there. There is a news reader here also. Let me just double tap on that. They do have some news that they curate, I believe, and push down to your case on a regular basis. So somewhat useful, but you have to kind of go along with what they're looking for. It also supports Pocket. So if you have a Pocket account, you can throw URLs into your Pocket account, and the Case app will grab those and make them readable on your screen. That was somewhat interesting to me. I have an Instapaper account that I use on my iPhone, but if you are frequently running out of battery life, maybe this might be useful for reading some news and stuff, but again, not all that great for me. They also have a widget panel here, which will give you a clock, for example. They have a few other things that you can set this to do as well, like your reminders and your calendar and stuff, and you can have these be persistent on the back of the phone. And that might be useful. You get, your weather report here and all the things that are coming up today, and this will not consume any battery life, so you can always have it in front of you. But the problem with this case is that it's so big and so bulky that if you really have a problem with battery life, the solution might not be getting a second screen, but might just be getting a case that has a battery built in to extend the life of your phone, and then you'll have more useful apps on your phone that you can use versus what they've put together on here. It's not all that bad, but again, I just don't see a real practical use for this, given the fact that you could boost the battery on your phone and get much more useful functionality out of your phone. It's not an e-ink display, of course, but I think for a lot of folks, they're perfectly happy with the display that's on their phone currently. So a lot of bulk on this. Now, the reason why I don't have my phone in here right now is because I'm so concerned about breaking this. They warn you that if you install the phone the wrong way, you will void your warranty. They won't fix it. So this thing is apparently prone to bending upon phone installation, and bending the case will likely damage the screen, which leaves me a little concerned about how well the screen itself will be protected if you drop the case with the phone in it. The good news is that the phone should be okay, but the screen apparently doesn't seem all that strong if it's so easily broken upon installation. And they say if you don't follow this procedure, and the screen ends up bent, they're not going to fix it for you, so you're kind of on your own with this. Now, this does not take any power from your phone, nor does it charge your phone either. It's completely a separate device that just happens to be physically attached to your phone. It charges on the bottom here with a proprietary cable. They couldn't fit in a USB connector apparently, so they've got this magnetic thing here that is proprietary to the case. So you have to remember to plug your phone in at night and also plug the case in. We did a test on the Extras channel the other day of a wireless charger for the iPhone 8. That one worked with some cases, but not with this one because it is so thick and there are a lot of electronics in between the back of your phone and the back of the case here. So you're going to be charging the phone with the cable and the case with the cable. You will get a couple of days of use out of this, if not more, because these e-ink displays really don't consume all that much power. But again, yet another thing to charge and yet another cable to lose because it is not a standard USB charger. So that's why this one, among many reasons, just doesn't make the cut. So there you go, 3 more items that just did not make the cut with me. And as always, when I do these videos, people may have differing opinions, and you are more than welcome to leave them down below in the comment thread, politely, of course, because there might be things that I'm just not seeing with these products that perhaps consumers may want to know about. So share your thoughts down below. Also, let me know what you thought of a 3-item didn't make the cut video. I've been experimenting with some different ways to present this type of content to you, so I'm eager to get some more feedback, because I will keep doing these as more things come in that just don't warrant their own reviews. So let me know your thoughts on that down below as well. So for now, that's going to do it for Didn't Make the Cut. I'll be back when I've got a few more things to talk about that don't rise to their own review here on the channel. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including gold level supporters, the Black Eyed and Blues Music Hour podcast, Chris Allegretta, John Prawl, William Miller, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.